The morning sun rose over the rolling fields of New Haven, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. Catherine Donovan stood on the porch of her farmhouse, a cup of steaming coffee warming her hands. The breeze carried the sweet smell of the wheat fields that stretched to the horizon. "Mom, Alex took my data pad again." Emma's voice broke the peaceful morning. Kate smiled and turned to see her 10-year-old daughter stomping across the yard. Emma's brown hair was pulled into messy braids, her face flushed with anger. "I did not, I was just borrowing it," Alex called, running after his twin sister. He had the same dark eyes as his mother and the same stubborn chin. Kate set down her coffee. "Alex, return your sister's data pad." "Emma, remember our talk about sharing?" The twins looked at each other, their argument already fading. Kate knelt and pulled them both into a hug. These moments were precious to her. After a lifetime of war, peace felt like a miracle. "Can we go to town today?" Alex asked. "Joe said he'd show me how the colony ships work." "After your chores," Kate replied. "The garden needs weeding and the chickens need feeding." The twins groaned but ran off to do their work. Kate watched them go, thinking how different their lives were from her own childhood. They knew nothing of war or military strategy. They had never seen a plasma rifle or heard the screams of the wounded. Kate had made sure of that. Few people on New Haven knew that Catherine Donovan had once been General Donovan, the military commander who had crushed the Mars Rebellion. They didn't know that officials on Earth still whispered about the Reaper and her brutal tactics. Here she was just Kate, a widow raising her children alone since her husband Paul had died 2 years ago. Kate walked into the fields, checking the wheat that would soon be ready for harvest. New Haven was a good place, far from the politics of Earth and the growing tension with the Galactic Consortium. The colony had been established 20 years ago, one of humanity's farthest outposts among the stars. By midday, the twins had finished their chores. Kate loaded them into the old ground transport and drove toward the colony center. Small farms and houses dotted the landscape, connected by dirt roads. Despite advanced technology elsewhere, New Haven maintained a simpler lifestyle. In town, Kate stopped at the supply depot while the twins ran to find Joe Harris, the colony's shipyard manager. Kate picked up her weekly supplies and paused to read the news bulletin. "More consortium ships spotted in the Arcturus sector," said Linda Reyes, the colony doctor, reading over Kate's shoulder. "Probably just trade routes," Kate replied, but a familiar tension crept into her shoulders. Linda looked concerned. "They've never shown much interest in this region before." "Let's hope it stays that way," Kate said. Later that evening, after tucking the twins into bed, Kate sat on the porch again. The night was clear, stars shining brightly in the darkness. She found herself searching the sky, an old habit from her military days, looking for threats. A flicker of light caught her eye, movement among the stars that shouldn't be there. She went inside and took an old pair of military-grade binoculars from a locked chest. Through the lenses, she could see them clearly. Ships, not human designs. Their formation was purposeful, not the pattern of traders or explorers. Kate's heart raced as she lowered the binoculars. Those were warships, and they were heading directly for New Haven. She thought of her children sleeping peacefully, unaware of the danger approaching. She thought of the years she had spent building this quiet life, hiding from her past. Kate took a deep breath, trying to quiet the alarm bells ringing in her mind. Perhaps they would just pass by. Perhaps New Haven was too small to matter to the mighty consortium. But the soldier in her knew better. War was coming to New Haven, and once again Kate would have to fight. Kate didn't sleep that night. She sat by the window, watching the stars and the moving lights of the ships. By morning they were closer, no longer just specks in the distance but clear shapes against the dawn sky. The emergency alarm blared across the colony, just as Kate was waking the twins. "Mom, what's that noise?" Emma asked, rubbing her eyes. "Get dressed quickly," Kate said, keeping her voice calm despite the fear in her chest. "Pack 1 bag each, only what you need." Alex looked scared. "Are we in trouble?" "Everything will be fine," Kate lied. She grabbed her own bag, already packed with emergency supplies. Inside a hidden pocket was a small plasma pistol she had kept from her military days. The colony's voice system crackled to life. "Attention all citizens. Unidentified ships have entered our atmosphere. This is not a drill. Please proceed to your designated emergency shelters." Kate hurried the twins into the ground transport. Other families were also leaving their farms, faces tight with worry. In town, the colony's small defense force was gathering. Kate recognized the determined but unprepared look of civilians with minimal military training. Colony Governor Pat Mason stood on the steps of the administration building trying to organize the crowd. Kate pushed through to reach him. "Governor, those are Zarkai warships," Kate said. "Part of the consortium military. They're not here for peaceful reasons." Mason looked surprised. "How do you know that?" Kate ignored the question. "You need to get everyone underground. The mines would be safest." "We have diplomatic protocols," Mason began. Kate cut him off. "They're already in attack formation. There won't be any diplomacy." As if to prove her point, a massive ship broke through the clouds, its dark hull blocking the sun. Smaller ships circled beneath it like hunting animals. Mason paled and turned to his security team. "Sound the evacuation order. Everyone to the mines." Kate grabbed Joe Harris as he passed by. "Joe, I need your help. Take the twins to the shelter in Mining Sector B. I'll meet you there." Joe nodded. "What are you going to do?" "Buy us some time," Kate replied. She hugged her children tightly. "Go with Joe. Do exactly what he says. I'll find you soon." Emma clung to her. "Mom, I'm scared." "I know, sweetheart." Kate kissed her forehead. "But you're strong. Both of you are. Now go." As Joe led the twins away, Kate joined the defense force. She took a rifle from the weapon rack, checking it with practiced hands. "You know how to use that?" asked a young security officer. "Yes," Kate said simply, adjusting the sights. The first Zarkai landing ships touched down at the edge of town. The aliens that emerged were tall and insect-like, with 4 arms and hard exoskeletons. They carried advanced weapons and moved with military precision. The colony's defenders took positions around the town center. Kate quickly assessed their formation and moved people to better cover. No one questioned her orders. Something in her voice made them listen. Governor Mason attempted to communicate with the aliens. "This is a peaceful human settlement. We welcome diplomatic." The Zarkai opened fire without warning. Mason fell, his body riddled with energy bolts. Panic erupted as colonists ran for safety. "Hold your positions!" Kate shouted to the defenders. "Controlled fire, conserve ammunition!" The colonists fought bravely but were hopelessly outmatched. Kate moved through the battle with the skill of a veteran, her shots finding weak points in the Zarkai armor. For a moment she was General Donovan again, the legendary Reaper, but there were too many enemies. The defense line broke, and the Zarkai poured into the town. Kate heard screams from all directions as buildings burned. Her only thought now was reaching her children. She fought her way toward Mining Sector B, killing any Zarkai in her path. Then she heard it, an explosion from the direction of the Yao mines. Kate's heart stopped as she saw smoke rising from the mine entrance. "No," she whispered, breaking into a run. "Please, no." Kate ran faster than she had in years, ignoring the burning in her lungs and the blood dripping from a wound on her arm. The mining entrance was partially collapsed, smoke billowing from the opening. She could hear screams and weapons fire from inside. "Alex! Emma!" she shouted, pushing aside fallen rocks to clear a path. A Zarkai patrol rounded the corner. Kate ducked behind a supply crate as energy bolts struck the ground around her. With 3 precise shots, she eliminated the aliens, then continued toward the mine. Inside was chaos. The emergency lights cast an eerie red glow over the scene. Bodies of colonists lay scattered on the ground. Kate moved through the tunnel, checking each face with growing dread. She found Joe near the main chamber, badly wounded but still alive. "Kate," he gasped as she knelt beside him. "I tried to protect them." "Where are they?" Kate demanded, applying pressure to his worst wound. "The alien found us. They separated the children." Joe coughed, blood speckling his lips. took them to the East Chamber. I tried to stop them. Stay with me, Joe, Kate pleaded, but his eyes grew distant. They said, experiment, testing human resilience. His voice faded. I'm sorry, Kate. Joe's body went limp. Kate closed his eyes gently, then picked up her rifle and moved toward the East Chamber. Cold determination replaced her panic. This was a mission now. Find the targets, extract them, eliminate hostiles. The East Chamber was the largest in the mine complex. Kate heard Zarkai voices before she saw them, clicking and hissing in their alien language. She peered around the corner and saw about a dozen Zarkai soldiers. In the center of the room, behind a force field, were human children, including Alex and Emma. Kate analyzed the situation with a soldier's eye. Too many enemies. No clear shot at the force field controls. She needed a distraction. Before she could act, a new Zarkai entered the chamber. Taller than the others with ornate markings on its exoskeleton, this was clearly a commander. Begin the testing, it ordered in accented English. I want stress responses recorded. Yes, High Marshal Vexer, one of the soldiers replied. Kate watched in horror as the aliens activated a device that sent painful shocks through the force field. The children screamed. Emma tried to shield Alex with her body, her small face contorted in pain but determined. Kate's vision went red with rage. She prepared to attack, knowing it was suicide but unable to watch her children suffer. Then the ground shook violently. Part of the ceiling collapsed, crushing several Zarkai soldiers. Structural integrity compromised, one alien reported. This facility is unstable. Vexer made an irritated gesture. We have sufficient test subjects. Terminate these and collect the data. No, Kate screamed, breaking cover and firing at the aliens. She killed 3 before they responded. But there were too many. Energy bolts hit her chest and leg, sending her crashing to the ground. Through blurred vision, she saw the force field flicker, then intensify to a blinding light. The children's screams stopped abruptly. The force field disappeared, revealing nothing but ash where the children had been. Excellent, Vexer said. Collection complete. These humans are fragile creatures. Another explosion rocked the mine. The ceiling began to collapse. Evacuate, Vexer ordered. The aliens rushed past Kate's body, assuming she was dead. Darkness took her as rocks fell around her. Her last thought was of Emma's brave face, trying to protect her brother until the end. Kate didn't know how long she was unconscious. She woke to the feeling of hands pulling her from the rubble. Human hands. She's alive, someone called. Kate opened her eyes to see Linda Reyes, the colony doctor, leaning over her. Behind Linda, other survivors watched with haunted eyes. The children, Kate whispered. Linda's face told her everything. I'm so sorry, Kate. Something broke inside Kate Donovan at that moment. Something died with her children. And something else, something terrible, was born in its place. The aliens, Kate asked, her voice now hollow. Are they still here? Yes, Linda replied. They've occupied the colony center. They're rounding up survivors for processing, whatever that means. Kate sat up despite her injuries. The pain was nothing compared to the cold fire now burning in her heart. They don't know who I am, she said quietly. Kate? Linda looked confused. They killed my children without knowing who they were, without knowing who I am. Kate's eyes were dry, her face a mask of control. That was their mistake. Linda helped Kate to a small cave deep in the mine system. About 30 colonists had gathered there, mostly injured. They huddled in the dim light, faces dirty and scared. We need medical supplies, Linda whispered. Food too. We can't stay hidden forever. Kate nodded, her mind already working on a plan. How many of the Defense Force survived? Maybe 10, Linda replied. They're not soldiers, Kate. They're farmers. With basic training. Kate stood up despite her injuries. Where's the nearest communication array? The one at the colony center is destroyed, a man said. There's a backup at the agricultural station, but it's guarded now. Kate looked at the survivors. They needed hope. They needed leadership. She had spent years hiding who she was, but that luxury was gone now. My name is not just Catherine Donovan, she said, her voice steady. Before I came to New Haven, I was General Catherine Donovan of the Earth Defense Force. I commanded the Third Fleet during the Mars Rebellion. The colonists stared at her in shock. One older man gasped. The Reaper? That was you? Kate nodded, not flinching at the old nickname. Yes. And now I'm going to help you fight back. For the next 3 days, Kate organized the survivors into a resistance group. They raided small Zarkai patrols for weapons. They stole medical supplies from alien storage facilities. Kate taught them basic military tactics, how to move silently, how to set ambushes. On the 4th night, Kate led a small team to the agricultural station. They moved through the darkness like shadows, using hand signals Kate had taught them. 2 Zarkai guards stood at the entrance. Kate and a colonist named Ben took them down simultaneously, using knives rather than noisy guns. Inside, Kate found the communications array. Keep watch, she told the others as she worked on the system. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls, entering codes she had memorized years ago, codes that should still work if her old contacts were still alive. This is Catherine Donovan, former general, authorization code Tango 9 Reaper Echo. New Haven colony has been attacked by Zarkai forces. Civilian casualties high, requesting immediate assistance. Message repeats. She set the message to transmit on a secure Earth Defense Force frequency, then erased all evidence of her work. As they left the station, an alarm sounded from the colony center. They found our last raid site, Ben said, his face pale in the moonlight. Kate nodded. Back to the caves now. When they returned, Linda was waiting with news. They took 5 more colonists for their experiments. They're not just occupying anymore, Kate. They're systematically testing, then killing us. Kate's face showed no emotion, but her hands clenched into fists. Did anyone see where they're taking them? Their main ship, Linda said. It landed at the edge of town, far across the galaxy. In Earth Defense Force headquarters, Admiral William Pierce was working late. A light flashed on his desk console. He opened the message and froze when he saw the authorization code. It can't be, he whispered. He played the message, hearing a voice he hadn't heard in years. Catherine Donovan, the most brilliant and feared military commander in Earth's history. The woman who had won the Mars Rebellion through tactics so brutal that even hardened soldiers spoke of them in whispers. Pierce immediately called his second-in-command. Get me a secure line to the Defense Council, he ordered, and prep my ship for immediate departure. Sir? The officer looked confused. The Zarkai just made the biggest mistake in their history, Pierce said, his face grim. They attacked a colony where General Donovan was living, and apparently they killed her children. The officer paled. The Reaper? I thought she was retired. She was, Pierce replied. But if her children are dead, may whatever gods the Zarkai believe in have mercy on them, because Catherine Donovan won't. Kate stood on a small hill overlooking the colony center. Through her binoculars, she counted the Zarkai patrols, noting their patterns and timing. 7 days had passed since the attack. 7 days since she had lost her children. She felt nothing now but cold purpose. Their security is getting sloppy, she told Ben, who crouched beside her. They don't expect organized resistance. We're hardly organized, Ben replied. Just 30 people with stolen weapons. Kate lowered the binoculars. Numbers don't win battles. Strategy does. She led Ben back to their cave hideout. The survivors had turned it into a base with makeshift beds and a planning area. Linda was treating a man with a leg wound. Any word from Earth? Linda asked as Kate entered. Not yet, Kate replied. But they'll come. Kate unfolded a hand-drawn map of the colony on a flat rock. The survivors gathered around her. The Zarkai are holding their prisoners here. She pointed to a building near the landing field. And their main weapons cache is here. Tonight we hit both. That's suicide, someone said. There are too many guards. Kate looked at the man. I'm not asking you to attack directly. I'm going to create a diversion here. She pointed to the fuel storage tanks. When they respond, small teams will free the prisoners and steal weapons. She assigned roles with the precision of a military commander. Some would create distractions, others would rescue prisoners, a third team would steal weapons and supplies. As night fell, Kate moved alone toward the fuel storage area. She carried a small explosive device made from mining charges. The night was clear, stars shining down on the ruined colony. She thought of Emma and Alex, how they had loved looking at the stars. "This is for you," she whispered as she placed the charges. Kate set the timer and moved to her observation position. The explosion, when it came, lit up the night sky. Zarkai soldiers rushed toward the fire just as she had predicted. Over her makeshift radio, Kate gave the signal. "Teams 2 and 3, go now." The prisoner rescue team moved toward the holding facility. The weapons team headed for the cache. Kate watched through her binoculars, counting the seconds in her head. Suddenly, alarms blared across the colony. Something had gone wrong. Kate's radio crackled. "Team 2 is pinned down. There were more guards than we expected." Without hesitation, Kate ran toward the prison building. She moved through the shadows, avoiding Zarkai patrols. When she reached the scene, she saw 5 of her people trapped behind a low wall under heavy fire from Zarkai guards. Kate took a deep breath, falling back into the mindset of the soldier she once was. She moved to a flanking position and opened fire on the aliens. Her shots were precise, each one finding a vulnerable joint in their armored bodies. The surprised Zarkai turned toward this new threat. Kate used their confusion to advance, throwing a stolen Zarkai grenade into their midst. The explosion scattered the aliens, giving her people the chance to retreat. "Get the prisoners out," she ordered. "I'll cover you." Kate provided covering fire as her team led a dozen battered colonists away from the building. She was the last to leave, walking backward to keep her gun trained on any pursuit. They made it back to the caves as dawn broke. Linda rushed to treat the freed prisoners, many of whom had injuries from Zarkai experiments. "We lost Sam," Ben reported grimly. "And the weapons team only got a few guns before they had to retreat." Kate nodded, feeling the weight of another death. Sam knew the risks. We all do. A young woman approached Kate. Her arm was bandaged where the Zarkai had cut into her. "I heard them talking," she said. "Their leader, the one they call High Marshal, he's planning to leave soon. He said they've collected enough data from their experiments on us." Kate's eyes narrowed. "When?" "2 days. They're loading their ship." "Already?" Kate turned to the map again. If Vexer escaped, he would never face justice for her children's deaths. She couldn't let that happen. "New plan," she said. "We're going after the High Marshal himself." The survivors looked at her with a mixture of fear and determination. They had seen enough of Kate's strategies to trust her, even with something this dangerous. Far above the colony, a small Earth ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Admiral Pierce stood on the bridge, looking at the planet below. "No response to our hails?" he asked. "None, sir," his communications officer replied. "But we're picking up Zarkai transmissions. They've definitely occupied the colony." Pierce nodded grimly. "Find me Catherine Donovan." The night before the planned attack, Kate sat alone at the mouth of the cave. She cleaned her weapon while watching the distant lights of the Zarkai ship. Her mind replayed memories of Alex and Emma, their laughter, their faces, their final moments. Linda sat beside her, offering a cup of water. "The others are worried. This plan is dangerous." "All plans in war are dangerous," Kate replied. Her voice was flat, emotionless. "Is that what this is, war?" Kate looked at her. "It became war the moment they killed my children." A sound from the forest made them both tense. Kate raised her weapon, moving silently to a defensive position. Linda followed her lead. A figure emerged from the trees, hands raised. It was a human in an Earth Defense Force uniform. "I'm looking for General Catherine Donovan," the man said. Kate kept her weapon aimed at him. "Identify yourself." "Captain Roy Hansen. Admiral Pierce sent me." Kate lowered her gun slightly. "William Pierce?" The captain nodded. "He received your message. We've been searching for survivors." He looked around at the caves. "We didn't expect to find you leading a resistance." "What did you expect?" Kate asked coldly. "Honestly, knowing your reputation, we expected to find a lot of dead Zarkai." Kate allowed a small, grim smile. "That comes tomorrow." Captain Hansen followed Kate into the cave. He explained that Admiral Pierce was in orbit with a small stealth ship. They had avoided detection by the Zarkai vessels. "The Admiral wants to extract you immediately," Hansen said. Kate shook her head. "Not until I deal with High Marshal Vexer." "With respect, General, that's not the mission. The consortium has rules of engagement. This attack on your colony was unauthorized. The proper response is diplomatic." Kate's eyes flashed with anger. "Diplomatic? They experimented on children. They turned my son and daughter to ash." The cave fell silent. Even Hansen seemed at a loss for words. "Tell Pierce I'll contact him after I finish my mission," Kate finally said. "Now, you can either help us or stay out of our way." Hansen hesitated, then nodded. "What's your plan?" Kate unfolded her crude map. "Vexer's ship is preparing for departure. Security will be focused on loading their research and specimens. We create a distraction here and here." She pointed to locations around the landing field. "While they're dealing with that, a small team infiltrates the ship and captures Vexer." "That's not a capture mission," Hansen observed. "That's an assassination." "No," Kate said. "I want him alive. I want him to stand trial for what he did. I want the entire consortium to know what happened here." Hansen studied the map. "You'll need better intelligence about the ship's layout. Can you provide it?" Hansen tapped his wrist device. A holographic display appeared, showing the interior of a Zarkai command vessel. "We have these from previous encounters," he said. Kate studied the layout, memorizing every corridor and room. "Their command center will be here," she pointed. "Vexer will be there overseeing departure preparations." The plan came together quickly. Hansen would use Earth Defense Force equipment to create more effective distractions. Kate and a small team would infiltrate the ship. The remaining colonists would secure an escape route. As dawn approached, Kate stood before the survivors of New Haven. Many were injured. All were exhausted, but determination showed on every face. "Today we fight back," Kate told them. "Not just for ourselves or for those we've lost, but to show the consortium that humans are not easy targets, that we will not be experimented on or slaughtered without consequence." She looked at each face, seeing her words strengthen their resolve. "The Zarkai came here thinking we were weak. They will leave knowing exactly who they are dealing with." In orbit, Admiral Pierce received Hansen's report. He sat back in his command chair, troubled. "Sir?" his second-in-command asked. "Should we stop her?" Pierce shook his head. "You don't stop the Reaper once she's on the hunt. You just try to contain the fallout." He sighed. "Prepare a diplomatic package for consortium headquarters. They'll need to understand what their Zarkai commanders have done." "Will it matter, sir?" Pierce thought of Catherine Donovan, the brilliant strategist whose tactics had ended the Mars Rebellion in just 3 weeks. "It will after today," he replied. The first explosion hit the Zarkai fuel depot just after sunrise. The second took out their communication array 30 seconds later. The third destroyed a weapons transport at the edge of the landing field. Each blast triggered alarms and sent Zarkai soldiers running in different directions exactly as Kate had planned. "Now," Kate whispered to her small team. They moved from their hiding place among cargo containers, racing toward the main ship, where High Marshal Vexer prepared to leave New Haven. Kate wore stolen Zarkai armor over her clothes. It was too big and made movement difficult, but it would help them get past initial security. Ben and Linda followed her, similarly disguised. Captain Hansen provided cover from a nearby rooftop with a sniper rifle. They reached the ship's loading ramp without being challenged. Inside, the corridors were narrow and dimly lit with blue lights. Kate remembered the ship layout from Hansen's hologram. "Command center is 2 levels up," she whispered. "Stay close." They passed Zarkai crew members who barely glanced at them, too busy responding to the chaos outside. Kate led them to a maintenance shaft that would bypass the main security checkpoints. They climbed, Linda whispered, Kate, what happens after we capture Vexor? Justice happens, Kate replied. They reached the upper level and found it more heavily guarded. 2 Zarkai soldiers stood outside the command center door. Kate tapped her communicator. Hansen, we need a distraction inside the ship. Copy that, Hansen replied. Moments later, alarms blared throughout the vessel. A computerized voice announced, Engine containment failure. All personnel report to emergency stations. The guards hesitated, then ran toward the engine room. Kate and her team quickly moved to the command center door. Ready? She asked. Ben and Linda nodded, weapons raised. Kate entered her override code on the door panel, a trick Hansen had provided. The door slid open. Inside, High Marshal Vexor stood before a large view screen showing the chaos outside. 3 other Zarkai officers were at control stations. All turned in surprise as the humans entered. Security breach, one officer shouted, reaching for a weapon. Kate fired first, hitting the officer in the chest. Ben and Linda took down the other 2. Only Vexor remained standing. The High Marshal was taller than the other Zarkai, with elaborate markings on his exoskeleton. He showed no fear as Kate approached. You are making a mistake, human, Vexor said. I am a high-ranking official of the consortium. Kate removed her stolen helmet. Do you remember me? Vexor studied her. Should I remember every primitive species we encounter? I was there in the mine, Kate said, her voice deadly calm. When you ordered the execution of a group of children. Ah, the testing subjects. Vexor made a dismissive gesture. A necessary scientific procedure. Kate stepped closer. 2 of those children were mine, my son and daughter. For the first time, uncertainty showed in Vexor's 4 eyes. You are nothing, a colonist from a backwater outpost. My name is General Catherine Donovan of the Earth Defense Force. Perhaps you've heard of me? Your intelligence services call me the Reaper. Now real fear crossed Vexor's face. The Reaper? That's impossible. Our intelligence indicated she retired years ago. I did retire, Kate said, to raise my children in peace, the children you murdered. She raised her weapon, but didn't fire. Instead, she activated a small device Captain Hansen had given her. This is broadcasting to your entire fleet and back to consortium headquarters, Kate told Vexor. I want them all to hear this. Vexor looked at the blinking device, then back at Kate. What do you want? I want the consortium to know what you did here, how you attacked a peaceful colony, how you experimented on children. And I want them to know that humans are not test subjects. We are not primitive animals to be studied and discarded. Kate stepped back. High Marshal Vexor, in the name of the Earth Defense Force and the people of New Haven, I am placing you under arrest for war crimes and genocide. You cannot, Vexor began. Your choices, Kate interrupted, are to come with us to face justice or to die here. Either way, the consortium will know what happened. Vexor looked from Kate to her companions, then to the broadcast device. Beyond the view screen, he could see more explosions in the colony as Hansen's disruptions continued. His shoulders slumped slightly. You have no idea what you're starting, human. Kate's face showed no emotion. No. You started this when you killed my children. I'm just finishing it. 6 months later, Kate stood at a window in the consortium central hall on the neutral planet Arcturus Prime. Below her stretched the capital city of the galactic government, towers of crystal and metal reaching toward the purple sky. General Donovan, a voice said behind her. They're ready for you. Kate turned to see Admiral Pierce. He looked uncomfortable in his formal uniform, tugging at the high collar. It's just Kate now, William, she replied. Pierce shook his head. Not today. Today you need to be General Donovan. The Reaper. Kate smoothed her own dress uniform, the medals and ribbons catching the light. She had never expected to wear it again. They walked together into the great chamber where representatives from hundreds of worlds sat in rising tiers. At the center stood High Marshal Vexor, held in a containment field. He looked smaller somehow, his once proud posture now hunched. The Consortium Prime Speaker, a tall being with silvery skin, gestured for Kate to approach. General Catherine Donovan of Earth, you may address the assembly. Kate stepped forward, her steps echoing in the silent chamber. She looked up at the gathered representatives before speaking. 6 months ago, the Zarkai forces under High Marshal Vexer attacked the human colony of New Haven. They killed hundreds of civilians, including children. My children. Her voice remained steady despite the pain in her heart. They conducted experiments on humans as though we were animals. They did this without consortium approval, without provocation, without honor. She turned to face Vexer directly. The evidence has been presented. The High Marshal's own records confirm these crimes. I do not come seeking revenge. I come seeking justice. The Prime Speaker nodded. The consortium has reviewed all evidence. High Marshal Vexer acted against our laws and treaties. His actions were not sanctioned. The punishment will reflect the severity of his crimes. The chamber filled, with murmurs as representatives discussed among themselves. Vexer stood silent in his containment field. Beyond the matter of Vexer's crimes, the Prime Speaker continued, the consortium acknowledges a greater wrong. We have viewed humanity as a minor species, hardly worth notice. This was a mistake. Kate nodded. This was the real victory, not just punishing one criminal, but changing how the galaxy viewed all humans. The Prime Speaker announced the verdict. Vexer was stripped of rank and sentenced to life imprisonment. All his possessions would go to rebuilding New Haven. More importantly, humanity would receive a seat on the Consortium Council. After the formal proceedings, Kate walked in a garden outside the chamber. Admiral Pierce joined her. You did it, he said. Humanity has a real voice in the consortium now. Kate looked up at the strange constellations of an alien sky. It doesn't bring them back. No, Pierce agreed softly. Nothing can do that. They stood in silence until a young aide approached with a message. Pierce read it and smiled slightly. They've approved the memorial on New Haven, he told Kate. And the new defense system. Kate nodded. The colony was rebuilding, stronger than before. No one would catch them unprepared again. Will you return to service? Pierce asked. Earth Defense Force needs leaders like you, especially now that we're taking a larger role in the consortium. Kate thought about the farm on New Haven, the fields where her children had played, the quiet life she had built, all gone now. Not as a field commander, she said finally. But I'll help train others. Make sure we're ready if anything like this happens again. Together they walked toward the diplomatic ships. Representatives from various worlds nodded respectfully as Kate passed. Word had spread quickly about the human general who had brought a high marshal to justice. As they reached Earth's ship, Kate paused and looked back at the consortium hall. In just 6 months, humanity's place in the galaxy had changed forever. The cost had been unbearably high. 2 innocent children whose only mistake was being born to a mother with a dangerous past. That night, alone in her quarters, Kate placed a small holo projector on a table. It activated, showing Emma and Alex playing in the fields of New Haven, laughing as they chased each other through tall grass. It's done, she whispered to them. You can rest now. She didn't turn off the projection. Instead, she watched her children laugh and play until sleep finally came, bringing peace for a few brief hours to the woman the galaxy now knew as the Reaper.